This week in Hippity Hop. All right, so one of the things that we discussed when we first started this segment is there's going to be times where we look back on certain things on certain anniversaries, and there's also going to be times when we discuss current events shit. And this is going to be one of those times where we discuss some current event shit. On this week in Hippity Hop, on Monday, December 18th, 2023, rap legend Scarface performed on NPR's Tiny Desk. A 31-minute set that perfectly captured the essence of Scarface the rapper, Scarface the producer and instrumentalist, and Brad Jordan the person. We'll come back to the actual Tiny Desk performance in a second, but for now, let's do a bit of a deep dive into the history and impact and influence on the legend known as Scarface, a.k.a. Facemob, a.k.a. Face, a.k.a. Brad Jordan. Born and raised in Houston, Scarface first got his start on the local rap scene under the moniker of DJ Action, serving as the DJ for Little Troy's independent label Shortstop Records. During this time, he caught the attention of Jay Prince, who had just started his own fledgling rap label, much like Little Troy, by the name of Rap-A-Lot Records. Jay Prince had recently put together a rap group that called themselves the Ghetto Boys. After the Ghetto Boys dropped their debut album, there was a falling out that caused two of the original members to split ways with the group. Jay Prince was on the prowl looking to replace these members, and DJ Action, the man later to be known as Scarface, had released a single titled Scarface that had caught Jay Prince's attention. So DJ Action ended up rebranding himself as Scarface and joining Rap-A-Lot Records and Ghetto Boys, along with new member Willie D as well. The group's first album together was titled Grip It on That Other Level, but their true breakout moment came on their next album, 1991's We Can't Be Stopped. The lead-off single from this album is one of the most iconic songs in rap history, My Mind Is Playing Tricks on Me, with 3 of the 4 verses on the song penned by a 21-year-old Scarface. Mind Playing Tricks on Me is an ode to paranoia, but a very unique type of paranoia, a paranoia that isn't necessarily rooted in fear, but is instead a byproduct of how the trauma and the weight of doing wrong can weigh so heavily on one's subconscious that it can distort that person's perception of reality. It's an ode to paranoia at its core, but on a larger scale, it's an examination of mental health, a theme that will become a staple in Scarface's music. Now, we had definitely seen rap records before that had dealt with these issues of mental health and anxiety and stress. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five's The Message comes to mind as the first groundbreaking record on this subject. We've all heard the song. It contains the classic chorus, "Don't push me, 'cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head." Now, My Mind Is Playing Tricks on Me added a new dimension to this conversation, whereas The Message is a song rooted in the anxiety and stress that comes when you realize you're close to reaching your breaking point. Mind Playing Tricks offers the perspective that the scariest thing about actually reaching your breaking point is you don't realize it's already happened until it's too late. It's a harrowing tale that would be somber as shit if it wasn't so damn catchy, thanks to that unforgettable guitar riff that was sampled from Isaac Hayes' Hung Up on My Baby. Mind Playing Tricks on Me was a hit, and the Ghetto Boys and their frontman Scarface had arrived. So Scarface went on to go solo that same year. He has an expansive and impressive catalog of 12 solo albums, but for the sake of brevity, we'll touch on the 2 albums widely considered to be his magnum opuses, 1994's The Diary and 2002's The Fix. Brief synopsis on The Diary. Released in 1994 with one of his most successful singles, I Seen a Man Die, this was Scarface's 3rd solo album. Frequent collaborator N.O. Joe was on the boards for a bulk of the production of this album, along with a newcomer by the name of Mike Dean. The second single will be Hand of the Dead Body, a scathing commentary on American government and critics of rap music, featuring Ice Cube and another newcomer on the chorus by the name of Devin the Dude. In 1994, which was one of the greatest years in rap history, where we saw debuts from Biggie, Nas, Outkast, and Bone Thugs, The Diary held its own as one of the best releases of that stellar year. So before we fast forward to 2002 to his other magnum opus, The Fix, let's examine the trajectory of Scarface's career during those years. So after The Diary, he dropped Untouchable in 1997, featuring his highest charting single, Smile, which featured the recently departed Tupac Shakur. The album contains classic Scarface tracks such as Mary Jane and Ode to Marijuana that will go on to be famously sampled by Ashanti's Baby, Baby, Baby. He would drop My Homies in 1998, a double disc focused on highlighting, well, his homies. And in 2000, he would release Last of a Dying Breed, which is one of my personal favorites. So this brings us to 2002's The Fix. The Fix, in my opinion, is the best album Scarface ever gave us, and one of, if not the best rap album of that decade. Coming in at a lean 13 tracks and 45 minutes, there is no filler on this album. It's nothing short of perfect. The production is carried here by Mike Dean, T-Mix of Suave House, who we mentioned on the previous episode when we discussed his production on Carter 2. Unsung legend right there. Shouts to Team Mix. The Neptunes, and another up-and-comer who was making his name known off the production he had done with Rockefeller by the name of Kanye West. So The Fix is the consummate Scarface album, in my opinion, where he is perfectly revisiting the staples of his music, which are stellar storytelling, addressing mental health, and contemplating his religious faith. I have jokingly always said that The Fix is the only Christian rap album that has ever banged, and I'm only half joking when I say that. Go listen to Someday off that track featuring Faith Evans, produced by Neptunes, or Heaven, produced by T-Mix and Kanye West. Sunday Service has never, ever sounded so good. But now on to the Tiny Desk. It opens with Scarface extending a warm welcome to us. He mentions how Backyard Band, an iconic DC go-go band, and its frontman Big G are in the building to check him out. Big G is better known as Slim Charles from The Wire to those who aren't familiar. So on the keyboard beside him is the once newcomer who first cut his teeth with Scarface on the Diary album, who has since established himself as a legend, Mike Dean. They open with My Block, the lead single from The Fix, an ode to perseverance and finding beauty in the struggle. They then transition to Mary Jane, his weed anthem, and then Smile. There's a pretty heavy moment at the end of the performance of Smile where Scarface emphasizes his line, "We say a prayer for my homie Pac." Yes, we always knew that Pac and Scarface were really homies, but there's something about Face saying it in that moment on that Tiny Desk that hammered home how they were really friends and really homies, and how they still should be homies right now while they're in their 50s instead of one of them dying at 25. It's a pretty heavy moment, but the mood is lightened a bit as we transition into one of his more fun songs, Fuck Faces, before he closes out this Tiny Desk performance with the same way he first broke out, with My Mind Is Playing Tricks on Me. It's a perfect celebration of one of rap's greatest and most important voices. So, when we were talking Doggy Style, and I mentioned like Snoop is my favorite rapper ever. Scarface might be like my second favorite rapper ever. Besides like the music just being incredible, he made music that mattered, bro. Like, I mentioned before how mental health was a recurring theme in all his music. He was one of the first rappers to really grapple with that on a consistent basis. He was someone, and the thing about his music is it was kind of grim. It was kind of dark. It wasn't, I'm going to get through this. It was, bro, I don't know if I'm ever going to, get out this depression that I'm in, that this funk that I'm in. Like life, I don't know if life will ever really, really be all the way worth living for me. Like it was really dark, which is why his album The Fix, which I think, like I said, I think that's the best album he ever made. It's beautiful because there are some bright moments on there from Scarface. Like there's the song Heaven, where he's talking about how finding peace in religion has kind of, granted him a new outlook on life. And it's a beautiful kind of moment where if you were investing in Scarface, you kind of thought he would never really get there to where he's seen the cup half full. And besides the fact that he, like I said, he made music that mattered. He made music about mental health. He made music that spoke to people who are going through depression and anxiety and what have you. Just as a rapper, bro, like he just checks all the boxes as what a good rapper should be. Has one of the most incredible voices in rap history, one of the best storytellers in rap history. I personally think he is the best solo rapper ever from the South, right? I think he's the legit king of the South. And it really felt good seeing that Tiny Desk because Scarface is someone who's gone through health problems. We almost lost that man to COVID. Like, lots of us were really stressing during that moment. And it's good to see a legend like him get his flowers. And that Tiny Desk, it was so perfect because Scarface is someone who really knows how to command a room, right? Like, because I mentioned his music usually has substance. So the stories that he was giving us, into what went into that, into his thought process behind making it. And he's an instrumentalist and a producer himself. We saw him get on the guitar for Mary Jane. We saw him, banging out, the keys on Mom Playing Tricks on Me and stuff. So it was just real. I think it's like perhaps my favorite Tiny Desk performance. It's just perfect to me.
When I first saw it, I sent it to you immediately because I know how much you love Scarface. And we've shared our love for Scarface, you know what I'm saying, since Hellas. You feel me? So, I mean, just like Southern music in general. But yeah, Scarface is special. But I just don't know at that time period if I had heard rap so honest and vulnerable and, coming from the perspective he was, and so wise. Somebody right. 25 rapping, right. The lyrics he's rapping.
Mom Playing Tricks on Me, he was 21, bro, and he wrote three of those four verses.
And at 50, he's rapping these verses and he's saying them as in the same way because they're just They're to him as at 50, they have the same amount of weight. That's very abnormal. You know, he has
Yeah.
fuck faces where he's like, this didn't age well. You know what I mean? But I mean, we had his moments. He was still a shorty. He had those shorty moments, but like we talked about this, man. Like, there's a spiritual aspect to his music that feels like I was like, this might he had to grow up in church. You know, he may grew up with his grandmother or something because he had a certain amount of wisdom that, you know, people his age, our age at that time, and you know, don't have. And he put it in his music. One thing I learned was how much of a musician he was. I didn't know that. I didn't know. I saw him playing the guitar, and like he's playing that motherfucker like a guitar player, not somebody who's playing the guitar for people so they think so they know he plays guitar. He was feeling the music in a particular way. You know what I mean? And I'm like, he's talking about the sound in that pocket. I'm like, he's talking like an artist. And I don't know if I saw, if I know I didn't know the artist that he was until that. And so I really love that. But like, it's like you said, it's really dope to see him get, you know, his flowers. And Scarface to me is one of those few people that I don't know what else you fuck with, but if you fuck with Scarface, I know you got a certain level of taste. You know what I mean? Because he might not have been the most popular, but to those that really fucked with rap, he was always great. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he, you know, like, but I loved it. I was watching it at, I mean, it's crazy. You were up at like 4 o'clock your time, Tyler, when I texted you or something. But I was up at like 12:30 or 1 when I saw it. I was like, I got to watch this whole thing right now. You know what I mean? I was like, you need to get your ass to bed. I'm like, I'm watching Scarfaces. You know what I mean? Tiny Desk. Give me 30 more minutes. But yeah,
that's
man.
funny. All right, y'all. Go ahead, Tyler.
No, I was gonna say it was a very captivating Tiny Desk, and you know, going off John's point of like Scarface was never a dude who was giving us monster singles, right? Like he wasn't a dude who lived on the charts. Smile was his highest charting single, and that shit went as high as like number 12, I think.
And he had Tupac on that motherfucker.
Yeah, Tupac right after he passed, and that was in '97, and Pac got killed fall '96. But Face is one of those dude who he is your favorite rapper's favorite rapper, right? Like, like there's so much footage of guys like Jay-Z and fucking and Nas and Jeezy going on record saying like Scarface is my favorite rapper. He's the one who made me hop out here and do it, right? And he's just someone who just means so much to so many people in a very, very unique way that not a lot of rappers mean, you know, to other people. Like DMX, who infamously hated rappers. Like he said, you know, he grew up on disco. Like he was not a rap fan. He said the only rappers he liked were Rakim and Scarface, right? Like that just shows the reach that Scarface had, man. And he's just a legend. Like I said, probably my second favorite rapper ever behind Snoop.
All I want for the holidays this year is some NBA action. This week, new customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets just for betting $5. An instant dub just for you.
The Lakers have a tough stretch coming up. Boston on Christmas, couple road games against the Timberwolves. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on these lines to see how DraftKings thinks LeBron and them boys are going to stack up.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Jenkins, JENKINS. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code Jenkins. The crown is yours.